Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. So I haven't posted a video in a couple of weeks. I went on a kind of spur of the moment vacation to California to visit some really close friends of mine. I hadn't really been able to see them since before the pandemic. I think 2019 when they visited me was the last time I was able to see them. And I didn't prepare any content ahead of time, so that's why there hasn't been much the last couple of weeks. If you're new to the channel, I try to post once a week, usually around the weekend since I have a full-time job. So there's that. But I want to know how you're all doing. If you're in the US, how was your 4th of July holiday? How was your just general weekend, weeks, work weeks? Let me know in the comments. I like chatting with you all. When I went to California, as part of the vacation, I actually visited Disneyland for the first time since I was a teenager. And I have to say that I had way more fun than I expected. I know that sounds a little strange, but I thought I'd have fun, but I definitely had more than I expected. And one of the surprises for me was the Star Wars area of the park. It's called Galaxy's Edge. And it was so incredibly detailed and interesting. Just walking around it was a great experience. And if you ever get a chance to go to Disneyland, I really recommend you check it out. Anyway, moving on, I wanted to check this video to talk a little bit about the cheating situation in Warzone. The gameplay in the background is nothing really special, and there's a reason for that. It's just a couple of games from a stream I did the other day. By the way, I do occasionally stream here on YouTube, so if you're interested in catching one of those, make sure to follow me on Twitter. The link to that is in the description. I don't have like a stream schedule or anything. I just kind of do it every once in a while when I have time. So if you do want to catch those, the best place to find out when I'm streaming is on Twitter, since it will auto-tweet whenever I go live. I also will sometimes tweet if something's going on with me, or you can catch me having conversations with other people on the platform as well. But anyway, I've been back home for a few days, and I've played plenty of games with my friends. And even though Raven has recently announced that they banned something like 50,000 accounts that were hacking, I feel like the cheating situation for me personally is worse than it's ever been since the launch of the game. The reason that the solo gameplay is what I have for you in the back, just a couple of unremarkable games, is because it seems to me that in quads on Verdansk, which is typically what I play when I play with my friends, and trios as well, is the big hotbed for hackers, and I run into them constantly. Solos not as frequently, only occasionally, and Rebirth almost never. So if you are looking to play and you're struggling with cheaters, I recommend one of those two modes. But one of the reasons I wanted to make this video specifically is I wanted to talk about some of the things I see on Twitter regarding the whole anti-cheat situation. A lot of the time I see people directing most, if not all, of the blame at Raven Software directly and holding them accountable for the lack of anti-cheat in this game, and it a lot of the time is accompanied by tons of frustration bordering on anger. And I just wanted to remind everybody that the developers are human just like us, and I think there are some valid reasons, well, not valid necessarily, but reasons that are outside of Raven's control for why there is no anti-cheat yet, and I just wanted to talk about those briefly. To give you a bit of context about me, I'm actually a full-time software engineer as my career. I'm not specifically a game developer, but I do have some idea of the workflow that goes into implementing features and fixing bugs and making changes to a large product. And the first thing I think is really obvious about Raven, and I think, you know, is pretty clear for what's going on, is that they are controlled by Activision and can only do what Activision allows them to do. If you're unaware, Raven is a development studio that is owned by Activision alongside Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Sledgehammer, Activision, or Blizzard, things like that. So what this basically means is they can only do what Activision allows them to do. And my assumption is that Activision is not heavily prioritizing anti-cheat right now. They do obviously continue to release a steady flow of store bundles, and there's probably a high priority on content that actually generates income. And I'm sure the player numbers have not indicated yet that enough people are leaving or that playtime is dwindling in a large enough number. Maybe there will be something to coincide with the release of Battlefield and other competitors in the market, but that's kind of my biggest reason right now, is that Activision simply is not prioritizing it. The second point I wanted to bring up is that Raven didn't develop Warzone in the first place. To not to go too much into detail, but to talk about it briefly, Warzone was just developed and released alongside, a little bit after, though, the launch of Modern Warfare, and was only meant to be supported through the end of the life cycle of Modern Warfare, when the rumored Blackout 2 would have been launched alongside Cold War as the Call of Duty Battle Royale. The game was never really meant to support tons of balance or long-term, content updates. And Raven has to go through a long task of learning the code base and how it works under the hood, and setting it up to support long-term support, you know, long-term balance changes, feature updates, guns, maps, all of that. And the last point I wanted to bring up is that until this point, Raven had just been a smaller support studio, meaning they would help out another studio like an Infinity Ward or a Treyarch rather than making their own games. But once Warzone got such popularity, they had to continue supporting it, Activision. So instead of keeping Infinity Ward on it, who was already committed to another Call of Duty game, they gave this game over to Raven. Treyarch obviously was in the middle of support for Cold War, and Sledgehammer has been working on the rumored Vanguard game. So this had to go to Raven, who was a very, very small studio at the time. And if you've been kind of paying attention to what's going on, you'll know that since Raven has taken over and taken the keys to this massively important game, they've done tons of hiring. And I think there's just obviously going to be some growing pains while they get enough staff to handle the workload and those new employees learn the code base. So let's just be patient. It goes a long way. Anyway, that's all I have for this video, but I want to know your opinion. What's your experience been like with cheating in Warzone? And do you have any thoughts on the anti-cheat situation? Leave your comments below. I really enjoyed talking to you all. And subscribe if you're new and if you enjoyed the video. With that said, thank you all for watching. I'll see you all next time.